Well, we return for Volume 3 of more fake AI-generated Goosebumps. If you haven't seen the first two volumes, I suggest you go check those out first, but if not, you don't have to watch them in any order, specifically. Now, just to be clear, I don't make these. They come from this page called Fake Goosebumps Guy. You should check him out. He makes a lot of funny stuff, too. The Ghost Train of Midnight Hollow. The tagline states, "All aboard for a journey you'll never forget, if you survive." I like that. It's got an ominous vibe to it. I really like the color scheme they went with, and the picture of the train is definitely creepy. I could see the story going like this. Kid moves to a town, there's an urban legend about a ghost train that pulls through once every couple years. He happens to be out riding his bike one summer night when he comes across the ghost train. He's offered a free ticket for a ride and he gets on. Overall, I'm giving this art a 8 out of 10, and I would definitely like to see this as a book. I think once I get far enough with these AI Goosebumps covers, I'm going to build something called the New 62, and I'm definitely going to add this as one of them. The Witching Hour at Blackwood Manor, and the tagline states, "Superstitions come alive when the clock strikes 12. Which is weird though, because I was fairly certain the witching hour was 3 a.m. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that, but regardless, let's just ignore the questionable tagline. My guess is this. We've got an old decrepit house that's owned by a witch. It's known as Blackwood Manor, and maybe every night at a certain time strange noises and lights start coming from it. So a group of kids go to investigate it, and that's when they start to see crazy stuff at the witching hour. I'll give this cover a 6 out of 10. I like the color scheme, but the picture's just kinda, it could be scarier. The Haunted Grove. Now this one feels like a Goosebumps. The title's not too long, the art's creepy enough, I could see Tim Jacobus making something similar to this. The tagline is, "Don't get lost in the grove, or you'll never make it out alive." I could see this story being about maybe a pair of siblings who essentially moved to this new area, and they're warned not to go into the haunted grove as strange things happen there. They're off being kids and just playing, they ignore what they're told, and they go off into the grove. And then they see some crazy things, maybe some trees come to life and try to even bite them. I'm not really sure where it'd go from there, but honestly, I wish it was a book. I would take this over Monster Blood 3 any day. I give the cover art a 7.5, and I am sad that this is not real. Beware the Bleeding Beast. The tagline states, "This goat doesn't play by the rules." So this is about like this half goat man, and I know for a fact somewhere in the world there's lore of like the bridge of the goat man, so my guess is wherever that bridge is located, this book takes place. I could see it being your standard book where it's summertime and these kids all dare each other to go mess around at the goat man's bridge where the bleeding beast lives, and one of the kids gets pushed over the edge and says, "Okay, I'm going to do it," and then he goes and the goat man either captures him or traps him, and we spend the climax escaping from the goat man only for it to be trapped in a cave, or maybe it drowns. I'm not really sure how it would end, but definitely like where it was going. The cover art feels real 90s. I'm going to give it a 6.75 out of 10. The Curse of the Living Mannequins. Now, the premises is interesting. However, I'm not a huge fan of the actual art. The tagline states, "They may look like a doll, but they're actually alive and they're watching you." Now, come on. Everyone has had that fear as a child, that the mannequin comes to life and grabs you, or the mannequins are alive and they're actually watching you. I know I did, at least. Hell, working retail, I used to lie to children when they were playing with the mannequin's hands. I'd be like, "Oh man, I hope no one takes their eyes off that because they'll come to life and grab you." And the kids would always look so terrified. I know, I'm terrible, but that's not important. I like the color scheme of the book, I just don't like the actual cover art. This one should be called "Some Mannequins Have Titties." This one gets a 2.5 out of 10 for me. It could be better. The Tentacled Terror from Swamp Mire. And the tagline states, "Don't get caught in its grasp." And this just looks like you're either swamp octopus or maybe a softer, bent version of Cthulhu. It's actually interesting. I would love to see Cthulhu in the Goosebumps style, and this is probably as close as we're going to get. I like the color scheme. I feel like we can have some kind of lore where essentially this is similar to Fever Swamp. There's a monster in the swamp, and if you go in the swamp, you'll probably not come out alive. I give this one a 7 out of 10. I really like the color scheme. That green on green just really pops. Curse of Nightmare Mansion, Trapped in the Twisted Arcade. This one's tagline is, "Play the game if you dare." And honestly, just from the setup of that title, I feel like this should be a small series. Maybe kind of like the Revenge of the Body Squeezers 1 and 2. Maybe it could be a 3 or 4 book run where each book's different, but they all go by the first part of the title. The Curse of Nightmare Mansion. I know we're getting something similar with this new book coming out, The House of Shivers. I'm just saying, I think it's a really interesting concept, and I love the art for this. Honestly, the color scheme goes well with it, and it just gives off this dreary, dark vibe. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Trick or Tear, The Never-Ending Nightmare. And the tagline is, "Halloween night will never be the same again." We got this creepy, demonic-looking child on the front, and I really don't even know what this could be about. Obviously, it's based on Halloween. My guess is the plot would go something like this. Maybe there's a dream demon that can only access your dreams as a child if you've eaten too much sugar. On Halloween, if you eat the entire lot of candy you picked up in that same night, you'll go into a sugar coma and you'll fall asleep, and that's where you wake up in Trick or Tear, the never-ending nightmare. That's just a theory, though. A Goosebumps theory. Overall, though, I give this cover art 8 out of 10. The Curse of the Blood Harvest. Right off the bat, that's a hardcore title, and it would never make it as an actual Goosebumps book. Wish it would, but it wouldn't. The tagline states, it's harvest time, but this year, the crops aren't the only thing that's thirsty. Alright, I'm thinking, school field trip. It's old-timey. They happen to go to some kind of village that's set in a certain time period, obviously a long time ago, predating technology. It's ran by vampires, and at night the kids get up and have to help harvest the crops as part of the field trip, but if they stray off the path or don't follow instructions, they have their blood harvested. I like that the cover art doesn't give away too much, and it's kind of creepy, so I'm going to give this one a 8.5 out of 10. I'd definitely read it. Mummies in Hell. Another one that's a little too hardcore to be a Goosebumps title, maybe a Fear Street title, but either way, it's creepy. I love the way these mummies look, and I would love to see essentially some kind of book where the kids are maybe on a field trip. They go to Paris to visit the catacombs, and guess what? They take a wrong turn, and before they know it, they've entered hell, and they happen to come across mummies who now are chasing them. Little as above, so below reference there. What do you guys think? I love it. The tagline states it's time for some payback. I like the art, I like the color scheme. I'm going to say 9 out of 10 for this one.